start. All right.
Hi, Anna.
Hi, Anna. Everybody say hi. Okay.
Hi, my future self.
All right.
Hello.
Now, we just did a review game. In fact, have your brains ready to write in because we need, obviously really need, some of us need some review here. Okay. First review, in fact, the sheets I just handed you are Latin noun genders. And it says, what's the big deal with Latin noun genders? Marcia, put this in a page protector. You should have one in the back of your binder. Both those sheets should be in a page protector. And because right now, genders may not seem that important, like who cares if I know the gender, but you will not be able to do adjectives without knowing the genders. So you have to know. When you're translating, you should be doing gender, number, and case, bless you, of each noun when you're translating until they just become second nature and you're like, oh, I know he's masculine.
Like there should be
Christ too.
later, like the undecided stuff.
Yeah, I think that we think, I don't know, we don't really have much gender in English. You know, he, she, that's gender, but most of our words don't. So I think we think it should match more as really seeming feminine or really masculine, and you really don't want to think so much like that. But, so, it tells you this is going to have every single declension how to do the gender. The first and second have been fairly easy. Again, look at your thing. Everybody be looking at this. I mean, if I ever wanted you to concentrate in Latin, it is today. Please concentrate. This is this third declension. You'll see. First declension, and it's all pink. Why is it all pink? Because first declension is
Feminine.
almost always feminine, except when it names a male person or a job. First declension, almost always feminine. That's pretty easy. So, second declension got a little bit trickier because it can be masculine or neuter, either one. So, in your brain, first declension, feminine, trying to decide, or almost all feminine. Almost all feminine. And then maybe put except man or a job. Unless it names a man or a job. So everybody should be writing this in your brain. First declension, always feminine. And like our review game, how do I even know it's first declension? You have to know the vocabulary. If it ends in I, if your genitive singular is AE, it's first declension, always. If your genitive singular is AE, it's first. That's why I've put boxes around these. This is how I know declension. I think even in the declension chart I gave you has those boxed. I think these endings are boxed. A lot of people miss this on our review game. How do I know declension? My genitive singular ending tells me what declension it's in. Okay. So first declension is almost always feminine. Second declension can be two things, masculine or neuter. Never feminine. Second declension is never feminine. You only have two choices, masculine or neuter. Already we have all three genders. How do I know? I know it's second declension by my genitive singular ending. It's the I with the macron. But I have to look somewhere else to find the gender. Where do I look for the gender of second declension? Yes. Nominative singular. If I look up here, masculine and neuter are different. What is my masculine second declension? Us. My masculine, if the nominative singular is us, it is masculine. Write that in your brain. So Christus, Christi, is masculine. But if it's a neuter second declension word, my nominative singular is what? Like balloon, belly. Us, This is all review. So you should already know that. Now it tells you right here, that's how this chart is going to work. When you're trying to figure out your gender and you don't know, you can follow this chart. If it's a first declension word, you have to first know what declension. So you have to look at genitive singular. If it's first declension, okay, it's feminine. Unless it names a man or a job, it's feminine. I just know that. Second declension, a little bit trickier. It's generally masculine. Second declension tends to be masculine, but there are some neuter words. Like Hayden said, he would expect there to be more neuter, but actually they're more masculine. But if the nominative singular is like belum, beli, it's neuter. So that's how I know there. So first declension. Now, here's the little joke. Third declension is generally, oh yay, so glad you made it. Awesome, then I'm gonna give, Allison just made it, Anna, that's why we're stopping. Here are 2 handouts. You're right down here. And you can stay there, it's fine. If you have a page protector, we're going over this declension thing. You can put those front and back, like put them in like that, and then that's an extra one. Okay. Yeah, no problem. All right, so now it says on third declension, look what it says, everybody. It says third declension is generally where people give up identifying genders of Latin nouns. And that's a joke because we're not going to give up. Our word for today was determination. We are going to, but this is the trickiest one of all the declensions, is third declension. Then if you flip over, we'll talk about third declension, but I just want to look. And if you look over on the back, fourth declension, generally masculine. Fifth declension, generally feminine. So those are going to get easy again. So right now, we went from super easy to pretty easy. You just have to look right here to this one's a little bit trickier, okay? So just know we're going into third declension, and it can be any. It can be feminine, masculine, or neuter. And now we're gonna see how are we gonna know. Well, look here. We start here, it says. Everybody be looking at your sheet. It says start here. Be looking at your sheet, Ruby. Right here, start here, third declension. It says natural gender trumps everything. What do you think natural gender means? In fact, it might even tell you.
Oh, if, like sailor, that usually a man, if it's masculine.
Yeah, that just means whatever the natural, if there are some things like a chair that doesn't have a natural gender. I don't know what a chair, if that's feminine or masculine, there's nothing natural. But if I name a man, well, that's a man. I mean, naturally, he's a man by gender. If I named a queen, she's a female. So that trumps everything. If it's naming a man or a woman, that's what it is. It's masculine or feminine. So that's what that means by start right here. Third declension words. Another thing that's tricky. I don't know if you remember learning the endings, but it was various, various, various. Various means that nominative singular can be all different. But remember, we don't need the nominative singular for declension. We only need the genitive singular. So is will always be your third declension genitive singular ending. A is for first, E is for second, is for third. So that's how we know it's third declension. Once you know you have a third declension word and you're going to find the gender, the very first question you ask yourself, is this naming a man or a woman? And if it is, don't worry about anything else I tell you. Natural gender trumps everything. So that's the first thing. So that's the easy ones. Now, turn your paper over. If it is not actually naming a man or a woman and you actually have to figure out what gender it is, we're going to remember these 3 words: error, socks, and lancet. Okay? Third declension, I'm gonna put east right here just so you know that's your genitive singular. Christus, Christi, that was second declension. First declension, genitive singular was AE. Okay, so my east words. Now, what did we do in second declension when we didn't know if it was masculine or neuter? Where did we have to look?
Nominative singular.
Thank you, everybody. In second declension, where did we have to look to find out if it was masculine or neuter? Nominative singular. We know genitive gives me the declension. That's how I knew if it was masculine or neuter. You're going to do the exact same thing in third declension. To find the gender, so we can put it over here. To find gender, look at nominative singular, just like you do in second declension. You're already doing this, or you should be. So now, but look, I look up here, and it just says various and various. It's because third declension words, the nominative singular endings, are all varied. If your nominative singular ending, all of these right here, these endings, error, socks, and lancet, are referring to the nominative singular. Okay, Ruby, make sure you're really listening. These endings are referring to your nominative singular endings, not this ending. This ending is always going to be e's. If it ends in er or or, so nominative singular, if my nominative singular ends with er or or, my word is masculine. And your little trick is just remembering the word error, and sadly, they're kind of making a joke that, oh, you know, if you're a man, you know, you're making an error, you're messing up. Maybe think baseball, that'd be better. You know, men generally play baseball, and so there's errors in baseball. So that's why it's masculine. So you're just gonna think of the clue error. The men make the errors. So that's gonna be masculine. And then we're gonna see how this works. Next, if the nominative singular, so if nominative singular ends in an S, an O, or an X, it is feminine. And just think girls like pretty socks. Now they have guys with like really fun socks, but they didn't really used to. So just think girls like, I mean, I love fun socks for men, but it didn't used to be that way. That's kind of a newer thing. But just think girls like pretty socks or fun socks. So if your nominative singular word ends in an S, an O, or an X, that is a feminine third declension word. Neuter is if it ends in an L, A, N, C, or T. So Lancet, think Sir Lancelot. That's what your picture is supposed to make you think of. So if the nominative singular ends with an L, an A, N, C, E, or T, it is. So he's kind of talking about Lancelot. He's kind of a famous knight, Sir Lancelot.
Was he real?
Not sure. I think they don't really know if the Knights of the Round Table were real or not. I'm just kind of doing it.
That's a really good. Whoa, that's
Oh, really?
good.
Well, good. So here's my little man writing. He is a suit. Okay, so
The man?
Lancet, that. So, I mean, they're making a joke, and then it says at the bottom, and even then there's exceptions, so yay, well. So if there's an exception to any of these rules, it will tell you in your vocab. It will give you a vocabulary word, comma, like this is masculine, even though the nominative singular ends in S. That's just an exception. But for the most part, you're gonna follow these rules. So we're gonna practice doing this some so you see what I mean with these rules here. I'm gonna go ahead for me and erase this top part. That's what I mean about Latin being kind of like math. I mean, if you don't keep up, it all just adds on itself and you'll get overwhelmed. So we're going to try to determine then, using these rules, the gender of some words. In your purple book, Page 36. You're going to have some new words, new vocab for this week. You should have on your schedule, it said to look over these before. But so I'm going to just write them down. Lex, legis, rex, regis. This is page 36 in your purple vocab. Dukes, duces, homo, homines. In fact, if you have your highlighter, you can highlight these in either blue, pink, or green when we determine their gender. Imperator, imperatoris, and veritas. There used to be kind of a homeschool academy thing called Veritas. Interesting because it means truth. Veritatis. Okay. So the first thing, I come along and I see all these brand new vocabulary words. What do I look at to determine the declension they're in? What do I look at to determine declension? Every hand should be up. What declension? I'm going to look at the what, Mateo?
The is.
Yeah, the genitive singular. So I look at nominative genitive singular is east. East, east, look at that. Every single one of these is third declension. These should have macrons. Oh yeah, this is the one I want to throw away. Doesn't really work. Okay. So now I know I'm in third declension. So I'm like, okay. So now I have my sheet. I still will use this sheet when I'm doing work to remember this exactly. My very, very first thing I'm going to do is see if my natural gender tells me anything. So the very first word is lex legis, and I look in here and it means the law. The way I remember it, this looks like the word legal almost. And so if it, the legal system, the law system. So law, is that a man or a woman? No, it's not. It's not a man or a woman. So natural gender is going to have nothing to do with it because that's not naturally either one. So now I'm going to go on to my rules then. Now I'm going to go on to the other page and I'm going to look no longer at my genitive singular. I'm going to go up to my ending of my nominative. So I'm going to look at my nominative ending. My nominative ending is X. So now, where is X in here? Sock, so it's feminine. So because that nominative singular ends in an X, this word is feminine. So you can highlight that pink. So again, it's not like this is really hard, it just takes thinking. Okay, feminine, and this means law. The way I remember it is where the word like legal comes from, and it looks like legal. Okay. Oh, I forgot to write one in here, dudes. I was going to say, there's another word real similar. I forgot to write it down. Luce. Luces.
Oh, we have that in foundation.
Oh, you did? Cool. Okay, now, rexis. Oh. Look what rexis means.
King.
It means king.
Yeah.
So my very first thing, king, does that give me a natural gender?
Yes.
Yes, because look, I can look here and go, wait, that ends in an X. Which I do that sometimes when I'm doing it quickly. And I think, oh, well, that's feminine because that's socks. But remember, natural gender trumps everything. So even though that's an X, this is a king, so he would have to be masculine. You can't have a female king. You can have a queen, but not that. So natural gender. So you can highlight that one blue. And I'm going to put maybe because of natural gender. So you go, now wait a minute, why? That ends in an X, why would that be masculine? It's because natural gender trumps everything. You throw all the other rules out. Okay, and believe it or not, duces is leader, and back in Roman times, that your leader would be a man.
Yeah.
So natural gender does trump this as well. So even though that nominative singular ends in an X, it's still masculine because it's a leader. Okay. Now, luxe, lucis. It means light. So if I go, okay, is there a natural gender here? Is there a natural gender with light?
No.
No. There's not a natural gender, so now, oh, whoops.
It should
This
be.
is actually goes right here. Okay, there's not a natural gender, so now I am gonna follow my rules. So I look at my nominative singular ending, it's an X, so what word is that? It's gonna be feminine again. Lux, lucis, because it's very similar to lex, legis. Think legal, and then actually Lucifer was kind of this false angel of light. Lucifer's another name for Satan.
Yeah.
So light, lucis. Is there anything else that makes you think light? Lux, lucis. It was.
Lucy is kind of bright,
Oh, Lucy in the sky with diamonds. Okay. So anyway, but this is feminine because of the X. The X in the nominative singular. All right. Homo homines. Well, what if you look at what the Homo sapien? Do you know Homo sapiens are humans or man? And normally we use man. It means man. So is there a natural gender here? Yes. So it means man. So of course it's going to be masculine. So even though this is an O and you think it should be feminine, you have to look at the meaning. It's a man, so natural gender makes that masculine. Okay. Imperator, imperatoris. O-R, oh, and it means commander-in-chief or a general. Some stuff that you, like the emperor.
And is feminine.
This one, you have to make sure you don't get this confused with the empire word. They're very, very, very similar. So when you're doing vocabulary, make sure imperator. Now, it really natural gender would make it masculine, but even if it didn't, O-R, error, O-R, makes it masculine as well. So you can do that one blue, masculine. Veritas, veritatis means truth. There is no natural gender there. So my nominative singular ends in an S, which makes this word feminine because of
Yeah.
socks. So yeah, we're gonna do some other words before we get to neuter. So you can make that one pink. Now, let's gender. Oh, I should have let you keep. Oh, I should have had you keep your boards. So,
You want me to pass them out?
no, it'll take too long. Because I want you to do nah. I mean, because I'm just going to be having you tell me if it's masculine, feminine, or neuter, or something, and maybe hand signals. Do you know masculine? You know how to do an M in sign language? Just 3 letters, 3 fingers, and then your thumb. That's an M.
I do.
3 fingers like a cursive M. Masculine. So I have to go through alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Wait a minute. A, B, C,
G.
D, E, F. I think this is F. Kind of like a claw. F.
That's
Oh, E. E. Gosh, I should know these so well. Anyway, let's
I feel
do
like that's
masculine,
something to do
feminine.
this and
I'm
that.
sorry, feminine, we're gonna be down, but masculine, feminine, neuter, and you'll give me a signal. So I'm gonna put some more words. So now I'm going to the vocabulary words on page 44. You're gonna jump forward to 44. I'll tell you, masculine's gonna be thumbs up, feminine down, neuter is sideways.
Oh,
Okay. So, oh goodness, do we do eye stems as well? Oh gosh. Okay. Actually, before, gosh, there's so much this week. Okay. Wow, here's a word pretty similar to there, that one, because we're actually have to go talk about eye stems. There's something else called an eye stem, but okay. I'm trying to see if I can get some neuter words thrown in here before we get to that. All these have not been. Well, we'll do 2 words here first. So virtus, virtus, virtutis. And then I'm going to do another word, miles, which my son's name is Miles. My maiden name is Miles, and it means soldier. Militis. Okay. So these are on another page. Virtus, virtutis. So I see that I'm in third declension because of my is. So I know third declension. Now I know to find gender, I have to look at my nominative singular. Virtus, virtutis. This means courage or virtue. So there's no natural gender. What gender will this be on the count of 3? If it's masculine, you're going to go thumbs up. If it's feminine, thumbs down. If it's neuter, go sideways. Virtus, virtutis. And it means courage or virtue. So no natural gender. So hold your hand out. Don't give me any symbol yet. And on the count of 3, masculine's up, feminine's down, neuter is sideways. 1, 2, 3. Good, because it ends in S. Excellent. That is feminine because this is an S or socks. Okay. Milis militis is a soldier. Milis militis is a soldier. Hold your hand out. Masculine up, feminine down, neuter sideways. 1, 2, 3. It is good. Very, very good. That is masculine, even though it ends in S because it's a soldier. And soldiers would have been masculine. That's all I'm going to do on that. Now, okay, so just hang with me. We're going to do our determination because then we're going to throw, it's all going so well. And now we're going to throw a little bit of a weird thing in there. So, in third declension also, there are these things called, I'm trying to see where they introduce them in here so we can read with them. Okay. All right, go to page 47. Well, let's look at our grammar books as well. Get your grammar book, and it's like number 45 or something. Let me see. Okay. No rule. Hold on. So, okay. Go to page 9 in this blue grammar book. And, okay. So we went through all these rules. Here's all those rules. All the rules that are on here are on page 9 in your grammar book in it. So it walks you through them as well. I just like pictures. Pictures and colors really help me remember. Main thing is remember natural gender. Then this is pretty easy to follow. Then you have these funny things with your endings. So that, and the whole reason right now, and we're not doing adjectives yet, but you still need to know the gender because you don't know what endings to use. So these are your third declension, feminine or masculine, are these endings. Various es, em, and then ace, ibis, ace, ibis. But you see, there's this in parentheses, instead of just So you're like, well, when do I add that little I? Those are special words called I stems. They're just in third declension. Third declension is kind of a word, but we're going to get it. So in your brain, I stem words. Every now and then, you're going to get these words, and if you look on page 10 in this book, so they say like declining a word like lex legis is your word, like terra, terrai, balloon, belly. We always have a model word. On page 10, lex legis. So this is any of your masculine and feminine words, you use these same endings like lex legis, which are these purple endings, these endings right here. If it's masculine or feminine. But every now and then, there's a word, and it's called an I stem word. And your model word for that is pars partis, which is that number 58 there. So you may be thinking, how do I know if a word is an I stem? A word is an I stem, meaning the only difference is on genitive possessive, you add an I before the That's the only difference for an I stem word. It's the only thing. So really, most of them you're going to get right even if you don't know it's an I stem. It'll just be that genitive plural will be the only time you have anything different and you add an I, and it's called an I stem because you're going to add a little I to the stem before you add the in genitive plural. So a word is an I stem if, and definitely be writing this in your brain, I stem words if, number one, and it can be any of these, they don't have to have all of these. Number one, which this is rule number 60, so if you need to go find it. Rule number 60. If the genitive singular and the nominative singular have the same number of syllables. If you're genitive and nominative singular, so genitive and nominative singular have the same number of syllables. And honestly, normally it's the exact same word. Like, for instance, here's an example. Hostis, hostis. That's the nominative and singular. It's hostis, hostis, hosti, hostem, hoste, hostis, hostium, because my nominative and genitive have the same number of syllables. They're the same word. Of course, they have the same number of syllables. A lot of times, this same syllables, they are the same exact word. Sometimes they will be a little bit different, but they have the same number of syllables. If nominative and genitive, same number of syllables, it's an I stem. Another way it can be I stem is when the stem ends in two consonants. So this is rule number 61. If the stem of your noun ends in two consonants. So see, we have to know how to find the stem of a noun. If you can't find the stem, you don't know if it ends. Marcia will be writing these down. I stem. So an example. An example would be gens, gentis. The is means that it's third declension. When I find that stem, I take off my genitive singular ending. That leaves me with gent. That's my stem. Well, look here, my stem ends in two consonants. So that makes it an I stem. So when I add my endings, I add an I to the stem in my genitive plural. But that's the only difference to the endings. So for instance, let's do hostis, hostis. If I want to decline it, if you have the workbook, it normally gives you that as homework to decline all your vocabulary. It is important to do that because that gives you practice and all this. So if I'm going to decline hostis, I see that it's third declension. I'm trying to think if hostis is enemy. I don't know if that's naturally masculine or not. Well, it's either feminine or masculine, so it's going to be the same endings. Okay, so I would find that ending, take that off. That gives me my stem. And remember, you write your stem 10 times. Host. I only did that for host. This is how you decline a noun. Now I'm going to take my endings, but since this had the same number of syllables, I'm going to use my I stem ending, just meaning I use that I. So various, I have to just look at my word to see my nominative ending. My nominative ending is is. My second ending is is. Various, is, em, and then ace. Yeah, it's an I stem, so I don't just do I do eum, ebus, ace, ebus. So now I have declined that word. And since it was an I stem, I added an I here. If it wasn't an I stem, I would just say Okay. And then, of course, they give you, so that's the only two ways it can be an I stem. Either they have the same number of syllables or the stem ends in two consonants. My stem, not the whole word, my stem ends in two consonants. So that's that. All right. Now, whoops. Okay, I'm going to erase some of these. Okay. Let's then look some more at words, because there is a lot. Boy, in third declension, there's a lot. I'm trying to find some ones that will throw in some neuter words for us. Page 51. Okay.
It's 10:15.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have to steal some time. I'll still give you your break, but we're gonna steal a little bit of time. Just hang in there. We can do it because we haven't even gone through any exercises. But all right, so flumen, fluminis, 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 and it means river. Just think flow. Flumen, fluminis, it flows. Okay. Genitive singular ending is east. That means I'm in third declension. Now, I have to look over first, does it have a natural gender? River, is it naturally anything? No.
No.
It's not naturally anything. So now I'm going to look at my nominative singular ending, which is an N. Where do I find that? Yeah, oh good, yeah, neuter. It's going to be neuter. So this is a neuter word because it ends, the nominative singular ends in N.
N for
So that-
neuter.
Yeah, N for neuter. So lancet. So, let me just quickly look over, gins, teas, kiddies. Okay, yeah. I just hate that there's so many. I feel like just your exercises to make sure you're doing exercises through. So 28 through 35. Oh, we might not even be going that far actually. So you're doing grammar. So you'll just go through and follow these rules to determine grammar of all your vocabulary. And then translate. Your translations this week are pretty short. So as far as just translating, you go through the same exact thing, but the thing is when you gender, number, and case your nouns, now it gets a little bit harder. This was easy. This was just barely tricky. Now it gets a little trickier. Have this in front of you. All your nouns, first you have to know what declension they're in or you don't know what to do. So you have to determine the declension and then just follow these, gender, number, and case them, and translate like you've been doing. So does that, you think you got that? I mean, it's really not that hard. It's just more thinking and takes more time than the other ones. And yeah, then we'll get into I-stems more, I think, next week. Okay, I think we're good. We all good? Okay. Okay, really learn your vocab. Lots of new vocab being added all the time. Put these, right this minute, put these in your binder so they do not get lost. Behind Latin. Put them behind Latin. All right, bye, Anna. Bye, Bozo.